So thank you for joining me. I'm with Michelle Power, senior and most extraordinary copywriter with The Power of Words, with a massive back history, what I won't talk about now, but you can read about underneath. And we're going to be talking about, well, the power of words, aren't we?
We are, absolutely. They're quite persuasive.
Yeah, and how businesses can use them to increase their social media genius.
Yes, connect with your audience properly.
Yeah, exactly. If you can use the words they're searching with or talking about on social media,
yeah,
that's
and
when
I've been
you
talking recently, having more conversations with people like you, and just looking at the most effective way of incorporating them. And it seems that Google's shifting the way that it ranks slightly, and it's much more about the content. So rather than, it's further and further away from keyword stuffing. So the keywords need to be there, but they need to be there naturally, don't they?
Yeah, and it will penalize you if you use them too heavily.
Yes.
And also they don't, Google is really, people say, oh, you share it everywhere, but if you copy and paste it and share it everywhere, Google will slam you.
Yeah, it almost cancels itself out, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're getting very smart at it. So it has to be, as you say, naturally done. And it's also got to be fresh. You see, well, you have to put yourself in the position of Google. What they're trying to do is return the exact right page for the person who's searching.
Yes.
So that's when you get into your long tail keywords that actually resonate with the searcher. So they're looking for, a rubber duck that lights up in the bath. And Google wants to find that page for them.
And if there's only 10 people searching for it, that's fine, because they're all quite likely to buy because their search is so specific.
Yeah, you might only get 40 people looking for that one term, but if they all buy it.
But as a conversion rate, it's likely to be much higher.
Absolutely. Yeah. Exactly. So, and that's when the magic happens. Yeah. And we've had so many people where we've gotten to the front page of Google and it's all gone nuts. But it's never for the ones they think they're going to be put onto the front page of Google for. Yeah. Because they're usually overstuffed and oversaturated and got like 20 million pages. And you just can't compete.
Where they're a bit close to what they're doing as well, and they know why their thing is brilliant, but it's not necessarily what their customers are looking for.
Yeah, I was having a great conversation with a new client. They supply bits and pieces, all the construction elements, gadgets, widgets, stuff. Worldwide. And what they call it and what the guys looking for it call it are two completely different things.
Yeah, there you go.
So we're having to work back through their SEO. Well, they haven't got any SEO, but when we're doing their SEO and their social media and their content, is we're looking at how the slang has to then be incorporated into the tone of voice of the brand, so it sounds natural. Because if we start keyword stuffing, Google won't like it.
And it's very difficult for some people because they say, yeah, but that's not the correct term. And I think they're worried that their peers will judge them.
Yeah.
In a way, don't worry about that, because they're not buying from you.
No. You're talking to your audience.
Exactly. And if that's the language they use, even if it's wrong, incorporate it, because that's what you're searching for.
Yeah, and the power of words is just immense, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I love that article you shared yesterday. That one word made such a difference.
I just thought it was brilliant. It was, like I say, you used to be the most powerful word on Wall Street. That was the thing that was a real driver. But in these circumstances, people are nervous. People have lost. People haven't got their money back. So what's the most reassuring word that they want to see now? And refundable. Brilliant.
Yeah, what was it? Book a week on a luxury yacht, fully refundable.
Forget butler service or anything like that. Just fully refundable. That's what you're looking for.
Just give me my money back if I can't come. Yeah, basically.
You know what's around the corner. We've all been shaken. So yeah. I want guarantees in life.
I loved it. It was absolutely brilliant. And it's that, isn't it? It's knowing what is resonating with the audience, and that's the other thing. I know when you're working in Neil's Yard and all for the advertising agency, was it CDP and all the rest of it? Andrex, you've really got to get into the mindset and the emotional feelings, because it's not about money at the end of the day, is it? You've got to work out what people are feeling and thinking.
it's almost kind of keep saying to yourself, so what? We've got this brilliant feature, so what? But it cuts time, and so you can get on with what you really want to do. Oh, okay, now I'm interested.
Yeah.
Does it pass the so what test?
Yeah, exactly. I read a great article yesterday where it's saying advertising agencies have got it all wrong, that nobody's really that fussed about earning masses of money. It's all about quality of life.
I think I saw that. That was Dave Trott, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good article.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that, we're all kind of desperate to be kind of filthy rich and major celebrities. No, we're not. We want life balance. We just want to be happy.
Yeah, at the end of the day. And then I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? Is when you're trying to think about your audience and your customers, you're always trying to put yourself in their shoes and think, well, what is it they want? What is going to make them happy? What is that transformation that they're looking for when they're buying whatever it is you're selling?
And it's not, people talk a lot about the pain point. It's not necessarily the pain point. It's more, in a way, the pleasure point.
Yeah, the happiness moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that's how come you buy things that you never even given a thought to. You certainly weren't looking for, but suddenly it's being made to be so appealing that it's like, actually, yeah, I don't think I can live without that ladder or whatever it is.
And that is when it's really well described and isn't it? That's when words are just really powerful.
Relevant to your audience. Now you're pitching in language that, and it's not even language that I understand, but it's just you've made it relevant to me and how I live. Yeah,
exactly. It's incredible, really. And I suppose that's what we're trying to do with Social Media Genius Week, is to focus people's attention on that, because I think there's a lot of, well, I know, you know too, that there's a lot of businesses not doing their marketing very well, and a lot of it is just not because they don't care, it's because they don't realise and they don't really take the step back to think about it, and they might get stuck into old-fashioned ways of doing it, and or maybe they're fresh to online marketing. I don't know. There's been a huge pivot to e-commerce and social media. I mean, God, the noise on social media over the last few months.
Oh, it's overwhelming, isn't it? Yeah.
Even established brands are finding it really hard to get a voice heard at the moment.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm seeing more and more humour as well. I think things, you need to kind of take into account the context something's happening in. And in such an unsettled time where people are so nervous and there's just such a lot of negativity around, to then stand out by using humour or just a wry take on things, that feels fresh. It's the right thing to do at the right time, depending on your message, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's kind of giving people a little break from it.
I think that is very true. I also have noticed a lot of, which we cover in Social Media Genius, especially in the Social Goodness Day, people doing good business by being good.
Yes.
But also taking that one step further, like Ben and Jerry's with their and all the other brands boycotting Facebook at the moment, and massive great pressure groups on the fashion industry to do the right thing. And people are coming together on social media and finding the common language in order to pressure people to behave better, to do better. The big brands. It's really interesting. It's a fascinating time.
Yeah. And I think people are much more aware now of the power they hold. It's the idea that, it's only me, what difference can I make? And I think now they're starting to realise, maybe through mindful buying and their actions, that they can make a difference. And little companies recently have really come to the fore. They've really helped out where the bigger companies couldn't cope.
Yeah.
And now I think people are thinking, actually, I may pay a little bit more for you, but you saved the day. And I want you to be here in the future. So I'm going to consciously choose you for certain things. I'm happy to pay a bit more because I want you there.
Exactly. And I think that's as well where the language that the small businesses are using, well, any of the businesses are using, becomes really important. We were talking to Kirsty Layton, who's head of PRCA, chair of PRCA, runs a honey and milk PR agency, and she has committed to B Corp, massive push to becoming recognised as doing the right thing. And she said it's just been a magnet for businesses because people are just so attracted to people doing good, doing the right thing.
And it's really doing it rather than just by setting credits or something. It's actually doing something, your actions. And a lot of the actions that companies have taken have been small things, and they've been commercial because they need to survive. You know,
Yeah, of course. I mean, nobody's saying you mustn't make a profit. You absolutely must.
but by just kind of going that extra mile, giving that little bit more service.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a difference.
I know. It really has transformed things.
Yeah.
And just think how many little acts like that, what difference they can make. And I'm loving, you know, the shared language. And we saw it a lot, you know, I helped organise the BLM protests in Newbury a couple of weekends ago. And the shared language, really bringing the community together. And I've had messages from no end of people saying, I thought I was the only one. But then I realised through the movement and through what was happening, it wasn't just my concerns, it was everybody's. And this seems to be how it's happening on social media more and more at the moment, which I love. I think this is how it should be used, social media. It should be for bringing people together. It should be us being sociable as a tribes.
And you can't be a common enemy for that as well, just generally in life, you know. So we're all stuck with the same COVID fears, whether you're super rich and, you know, living in a mansion or in a tiny house. We've all got the same worries and stresses. So it's a great leveler. Yeah,
isn't it? It really is. I've loved it. And, you know, that is the good stuff that's come out of COVID, I think.
Yeah.
I think if brands can hold on to that, then it's going to be a better world after, on the other side. It's just getting us all to the other side, really.
And it's, yeah, definitely. And it is a case of a lot of people in the early days of the lockdown were really worried about selling what they do because they didn't want to seem like they were kind of
making off a pandemic. I think was
yeah. And actually, so long as you're not hiking the price of anything or being unethical,
I know. Look how
the service.
What's the gin brand down at the Newbury? Gin.
Oh yeah, it is the Newbury gin, and I can't remember the name, but yes, he switched to doing hand gel.
I know, and he's still not charging for it, I understand, but he's just doing an amazing job, and hopefully it will help keep the pub and the distillery going.
And equally, Fox Brewery, they carried on brewing beer, but they made it easier to get hold of. They were delivering, so you know, I'm sure their sales went through the roof. And
and Fishers, our local greengrocers down on the market, they started opening up their warehouse. You could collect in the warehouse. I mean, and honestly, their e-commerce, they've done something new each month on it, because
this is where social media was so good, because it's so quick, so spontaneous, so they can get the word out really quickly. And you don't need to be clever with what you're saying, you just need to be clear.
That is it, isn't it? It's being clear. The messaging has to be clear, and you definitely need to walk the walk, but you also need to get the message out that you are walking the walk. Because people don't know, they don't know.
It's funny when I talk to people and they're unsure how to go about their messaging, and it's always a case of, we'll start at the end. What do you want to happen after someone's seen your message? What action do you want? Okay, now work backwards. How you'll tell it to them, how you'll kind of communicate what you want. And that's usually the best way of getting the action that you want. I think people kind of tell a story and then at the end they go, and that's it, it's the end. And it's like, well,
what happened? I mean, I think of anything that makes us different from other creatures is our storytelling. We thrive, we live, we breathe stories. If it hasn't got story, it doesn't kind of resonate with us.
And that's such a good way of even sharing detailed information, because I'm much more likely to remember the details that you're telling me in a context. Rather than a bullet point list.
Oh God, yes.
That's why I'm such a big fan at the moment of case studies, because they don't need to be long. But if you can paint that picture for me, I'm going to remember so much more of the details that you want me to take away than if you just tell me it.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing. But I think it gets lost, doesn't it? People try and I think, thinking about a lot of the brands' output, they tend to be too formal. They tend to be too reserved. They worry so much about being seen as professional. And I think that has been a great level with COVID. You know, how many dogs, children, mishaps have people had in Zoom meeting? Did you see our article, Pivoting in a Pandemic, when we were talking about llamas coming to board meetings?
No, I missed that. I'll have to check that out. That actually happened a lot.
You can hire them. You can hire them from a farm in California to come and join your board meeting by Zoom. It's brilliant.
That's just random. Whoever thought that? And is it happening? People are doing it?
Yeah, goats, llamas, cows, pigs, whoever's up for it on the day. Apparently they don't force them. It's, who actually wants to communicate with these strange humans on a, on a screen.
Okay.
And if anything, I think that is just encapsulates board meetings now, that you can bring a farm animal in, and people do. It costs you about 100 quid.
I wonder what the thinking was behind that, because it's going to be highly disruptive, and they must have wanted the disruption for some reason.
Well, they haven't been able to have visitors. They've been doing virtual tours, and this has been the offshoot of virtual tours. I assume somebody asked for it.
Yeah.
And they thought, oh, that's not a bad idea. Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
You will. I think it's in the newsletter, or it's on our website anyway. But yeah, really good, really good. But I think it has been a great leveler, hasn't it? I mean, people have been themselves, and I think it's changed the way the language they've used on social media as well, which I think is really positive.
And I think people are becoming more human. I mean, people quite often ask me, do you write B2B? And I'm mostly B to business, and I'm mostly business to consumer. But ultimately, you're talking to a person. Yeah. Whenever you're communicating, it's a person that's reading.
Yeah, exactly.
So it gets more technical and more detailed with business to business, but equally, all copy, you shouldn't assume people know. I get told this a lot. It's fine, my audience understand that. Well, what if they don't? And if you use acronyms and techie language, you're running the risk that somebody hasn't got a clue what you're saying.
Yeah, it's going to wash.
Yeah, and no one likes to kind of feel thick or left out. So you can be friendly and use simple language and still be quite specific about what you're saying and quite technical, but just accessible.
Yeah, it can be quite off-putting, can't it, being too professional? And like we touched on earlier, it actually is counterproductive for being found, because people can never remember the intricate, precise name of that bit of kit or this, that, and the other. And they'll call it whatever, and then that whatever becomes like the slang that refers to it. Or can you pass me the bendy thing?
Yes. Yeah, like Boddingtons with their widgets.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think they invented the word almost, and yeah, they're widgets. Cool.
And I think people have to, and I like it. I like this move to being more human. I think, what was it? I interviewed Douglas Burdett, who does the marketing book podcast, which is like really well known, and LinkedIn and Forbes listed and all the rest of it. Anyway, and he was saying one of the best things he'd ever heard was, and he lives by, is that businesses need to be more human. That the less corporate you can be, the more approachable you are, and the more people like you.
Yeah, and you feel like you're dealing with a person. This frustrates me when you go on websites as well, and the About Us page hasn't got a single thing about the founders, the people who work there, the people that you might interact with if you.
Yeah, or you walk away from a website and you think, what did they do? What do they do? I haven't got a clue what they sell, what they're doing.
I'm impressed. It looks very technical. It looks very solid.
Whiz bang.
I couldn't tell you what it was, but.
Oh dear, do love it.
Funny, I did some work a little while ago for a very highly regarded legal company, firm of solicitors, and their area of expertise was immigration. So they're dealing with very high net worth clients, but mostly where English was their second language. So they had a real focus on short sentences, short words, accessible, don't use kind of phrases. It needed to be understood by just about anybody. So it's interesting to think that you're talking to, some of these people were experts in their fields, massively intelligent and well educated, but keeping English simple was what they needed because it wasn't their first language. So you can combine the two. And I was just double checking before I came on this, and the government reading age on their website is for a 9-year-old. But if you read it, it's not patronising, it's just easy to understand.
I know. One of our most used tools, I think, is the Hemingway app. of
Oh, I don't
checking.
know that.
Oh, Hemingway app. You put the copy in and it tells you the reading age and which sentences are way too complicated. It's brilliant.
Oh,
I'll put the link below, people, and then you can find it. It's
yeah,
excellent.
that sounds absolutely. I do know somebody who is having difficulties with their ex-husband, and when they communicate, they do it through another app, and it brings up the tone of voice, which I think is just
Yeah,
brilliant.
you can share that with me as well, and we'll add that
I
underneath.
wish I knew it. I think it might be via Relate or somebody like that, but I wish I knew it because that's just great. Like, that's actually passive aggressive. It's like, is it? I thought I was being quite nice there.
Isn't that brilliant?
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, it's incredible, really. But I think it's just one of those things. Businesses, if they're going to survive, they've got to be talking to their customers, and that is it.
Yeah.
Talking their language.
And it doesn't, you can break the mold. I was thinking about this before our call, and thinking about brand tones of voice and also the audience that you're speaking to. And sometimes you can mix them up. And Innocent is obviously a very classic example. It's a healthy drink. It's, you know, great backstory, very ethical, the rest of it, but such playful language. And I think before Innocent, there wasn't really anything much like it.
Yeah, they really broke the mold, didn't they?
They really did. Yeah. And they could just demonstrate that you can be a serious brand, more expensive than a lot of their competitors, and be really playful.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's all about talking to your tribe. We saw one of the campaigns we've got on our top social media genius campaigns is Gillette, of, you know, a man, we believe a man can be better. And that caused such a furore amongst some people who thought they were men bashing, when really they were just saying, can we step up and be better? But it appealed to their core audience, and they saw profits from the back of it. I mean, they got absolutely slated, but, you know, at the end of the day, they knew what they were doing.
Yes.
They knew who they were talking to.
And that's a very brave client that will do that, because so often they're kind of worried about any negativity. But it's, you know, there are so many phrases, you know, if you don't stand for something, you stand for nothing. It's being noticed, isn't it?
It is. And I think that's really, really noticeable. People forget that everybody sees what they say. So, you know, if you start telling racist jokes, as somebody shared something with me, business leader was sharing racist jokes, well, everybody went and looked at his business, and it got circulated on dark social. So he's pretty much kicked himself well and hard without even thinking about it properly. He just thought he was talking to his cronies, but it was public.
Yes.
And it's, you know, that's something to remember as well, that language matters, however and wherever you're using it.
Yeah, what you say and how you say it.
Yeah, definitely. And it can be for good, which we hope it will be, but not always. Anyway, it's been a pleasure.
It has.
Thank you so much for that. And I'll share links below, and look forward to talking to you again.
That would be lovely. I'd enjoy that.